What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be doing an edge retention testing video. I have a Spyderco Resilience that has been sharpened to an 8,000 grit edge, and I have a Spyderco Tenacious that's been sharpened to a 600 grit edge. What I want to do is put both of these knives basically through a cardboard test and see which one lasts longer. Now, I already know that the mirrored edge is going to last longer, but what I really want to know is how much longer will the mirrored edge last versus a 600 grit edge that took me about 5 minutes to sharpen. So the first thing that I want to do is kind of go over the process that I use to sharpen each of these knives. The Spyderco Resilience started on a 1000 grit stone, moved to a 4000, then an 8000, and then stropped on a knives plus strop block, and then finally it was stropped on some smooth leather. And needless to say, the edge is extremely sharp. So the Spyderco Tenacious was sharpened on a 600 grit Edge Pro stone. It was then stropped on a DIY strop. I'll put a link in the video description showing you how to make that strop, and it is also extremely sharp. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm actually going to tape off both of these blades to the same length. That way this longer blade doesn't have an advantage. So both of them are taped off. We have about the same amount of cutting surface on each knife, and this is the cutting surface that we're going to be testing. What I have here is the 600 grit edge Tenacious, and I'm just going to start cutting lengths of cardboard until I get to a point where this knife will no longer shave. At that point, we are going to take the mirrored edge and we're going to cut the same amount of cardboard with the mirrored edge as we did with the 600 grit edge, and then we'll compare the results. So I think we're at a point now where a 600 grit edge is no longer shaving. I think we've reached a point where we could say that it needs to be sharpened, or it should be sharpened. Now that's at 60 linear feet of cardboard, which isn't too bad in my opinion. I did the same test with a $7 knife I bought off of eBay, and it pretty much failed after about 20 feet. Okay, so there we have it. We got 60 pieces on the 8,000 grit edge. Now we'll start some testing. Okay, so we have the two edges side by side. First, we'll see if the 8,000 grit edge will shave, and it will easily shave. There's no doubts about that this is still a shaving sharp edge. I mean, the hair's still pretty much just jumping off the arm. Now our 600 grit edge, on the other hand, is not shaving pretty much whatsoever. It is maybe taking a couple hairs off, but it's definitely not shaving sharp anymore. So we'll do a quick paper test here with the 600 grit. It's not doing too good. So we'll compare that with our 8,000 grit edge, which is we still have a fairly good edge on here. Now this isn't really a big surprise, but what I want to know is how much longer will an 8,000 grit edge go versus a 600 grit. Here's the deal. We've got the 8,000 grit edge cut this much more than the 600 grit edge. It cut an extra 10, 20, 30. These are 6-inch pieces, by the way. So 10, 20, 30, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 6-inch pieces. Both of these edges have about the same performance. This one's pretty much not shaving anymore, and our 600 grit edge it's about exactly the same. Our paper performance, let me get a piece of paper here. Our paper, it still kind of cuts. This is the 600. it still does. It's definitely not effortless though. And we'll look at our 8000 grit. I think the paper cutting performance is about exactly the same. So you really don't gain a whole lot by sharpening the 8000 grit. Let me see if I can get the shaving here close up. Probably won't be able to. I mean, this edge will still kind of shave just a hair. Pun intended. And this one is about exactly the same. Now, I understand this isn't super scientific. I'm basically trying to compare these two knives together by seeing how well they shave arm hair and cut paper. So as close as I can tell, that's how these two knives or these two edges stack up against each other. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. I'd really like to know what your experiences are with a low grit stone versus like a really fine stone. And let me know what your experience has been as far as edge retention. Have you really found that a mirror polish lasts that much longer than a lower grit stone? Hopefully this video was helpful. This isn't my normal style of video. I don't normally do testing videos like this because I don't think I'm very good at them. But if you see something I've missed, let me know and maybe I'll do another test. So hope you have a good rest of the day and thanks for watching.